All right, so I'm gonna try to make this as short and sweet as possible. Basically, I had a couple people asking me how I film my clips and stuff, so I figured I would just make a video I could send to everybody. I'll probably put it on my YouTube. Um, yeah, so basically what I'm trying to do here is I got my clip filmed the way that I want it. Just a frontside flip and then switch flip back over crook. And I did the trick the way I wanted, where the flip was correct. So I'm gonna go back and film this, and we're gonna film it fisheye. And so that's kind of what people have been asking me, and so I am going to show you how I do that. So basically, I'm here in the replay editor. I'm in the advanced mode, so you just basically go to replay editor. You click X to go to advanced mode. You trim the clip to the start and finish of where you want it. You just kind of look at the instructions down here. I've done this enough that I don't have those up as much, but like under keyframes, you can hold down the left stick and it will bring up the kind of shortcuts that you can do. So those are super effective and helpful when doing this. So basically, yeah, I go to I hit X to go to, once I'm in advanced, I go to the edit on the camera and keyframes area. So I hit X, then I come over and I go to free cam and then field of view. This is probably the most important part. I'm going to put this to either 135 or 150. A lot of people say 150, and I definitely like the distortion of 150. But if I'm in like a dark light condition, I'll bump it to 135 because I feel like the quality stays a little bit better. And when you're in a darker area, that can definitely be a hindrance to what you can see on the clip if you're at full 150. But again, this is all personal preference. So yeah, I do 135, and then it won't be in this video, but you can take this once you film your clip because it's going to look a little distorted and weird in the raw clip form, but you would take it into CapCut, Premiere Pro, DaVinci Resolve, whatever you use as your editing software, and you're going to add a fisheye effect to it, and that will clean up a lot of this. And then you can add like a VIG overlay on top of that, which will make it kind of have that like fisheye look and effect that you see in the videos. And like, okay, so yeah, you're going to basically be working with field of view and roll in FreeCam. So yeah, I am going to hit confirm on that, and then I'm going to go find my spot where I want to have my cameraman. I'm just going to pretend that this is, how it would be in real life, and I would find where I want my cameraman to be. So the first clip is going to be a frontside flip, and I want that to I think this is a good spot for the camera right here. That's going to look good. So yeah, I am going to go, basically what I do is I do 2 layers. So I'm going to film my first layer by putting keyframes on all the 1 second marks. So this is a little trick that I learned, and this is kind of what I was telling some homies about. So I know some of the homies that are going to be watching this, 90% of this is going to be stuff you already know. I'm doing this for all my homies who don't even know how to film and everything. So, yeah. But the one key thing that I think even a lot of people who do know how to do this, that this will maybe help people is the 2 layers of keyframes. So that's a little trick that I figured out that kind of glitches the replay editor to really smooth everything out well. And you could be a lot faster with editing your clips in the replay editor by doing it this way. So even some people that make really dope videos and know how to do fisheye stuff really well, this might help, and it's a tip that works for me. So, and if you already know this, no worries, but this helped me a lot, so I'm gonna put it out there. So I edit at the 1 second mark for the whole clip for my first layer of keyframes, and I add any roll that I'm gonna do in that first layer, and I'll show you why. Hopefully I remember to say this because I've been forgetting. But yeah, so first keyframe I'm going to put about like right here. This is a 3 stair, so I could easily reach my arm up enough to be at the top. So I'm gonna put the first keyframe about right there. Skater's a little bit on the left side of the frame, so I'm going to straighten that out just a little bit, put it there, and we're probably going to adjust this as we go. So actually, I want to be a little more over here, I think. Yeah, so like that. And then my next keyframe is going to be here. Have it tilted down just a little bit for now. And as you can see, so when you're putting these keyframes down, I kind of want my skater around the middle. It looks like it's kind of far away right now, but when you put the fisheye effect in CapCut or whatever you're using later, it's going to be much closer to the skater because it's going to delete all of this kind of distortedness around the edges. So if you look, like, you're kind of going to have to play with it to figure out what works for you. So like if you get right up on your skater like this, you can see down at the bottom, let me turn this off. You can see down at the bottom how distorted the board is and how distorted the head is. So when you start seeing distortion like that, that is probably going to get cut off. Whatever you're seeing that's really distorted like that is probably going to get cut off in CapCut or whatever you're using after you put the fisheye lens effect on there. So you definitely want to leave room for stuff to be cut out a little bit. And that just takes, playing around with it and doing it a handful of times to figure out where you need to be. So yeah, I think that is probably about good right there. So I'm gonna pull this up just a little bit because the camera is coming downward from the top step. So I want a little bit of a downward angle on this keyframe. So I'm gonna go there. Then I'm gonna move to the next one. So before I go there, you can see, my skater's not like I said, he's not really in frame that well, and it's all distorted. So a lot of that's going to get cut out, but we're going to come back and edit that in the second layer. So I'm just worried about the first layer of 1 second marks right now. So, and again, I'm explaining all this. You can be a lot faster if you're not sitting here talking or worried about that later. So you can do this much faster than I am. But this is a good way that I've found to be speedy through these and still have it come out smooth and really good looking. So I'm going to put my second one there, then come here and here. A lot of people like to go really low, and I think that kind of looks a little bit weird, but that's personal preference as well. I kind of like it, where it makes the rail look realistic height. Like if it's super low, the rail looks gigantic and your skater looks like he's popping crazy high. I'm not really about that life like that, but again, all personal preference. So I try to find like a happy medium where everything looks realistic, and what looks realistic to me might not look realistic to you. So it's all kind of whatever you want to do, and that's the beauty of this, is you get to make it look however you want. So I think that looks pretty good to me right there. We'll see how that comes out. So then I think that my skater's arm can reach. This is a 3-stair, so it's a long 3-stair, but I think that I could reach my arm about to the end of the second step right there, or at least the camera lens would be there. So I'm going to add that there. And then shout out Atlantics and Mac for the tip on this, obviously. I'm going to adjust the camera a little bit at the end so there's not really any dead frames. There, and then that way it helps when I'm editing later that there's not any dead frames that show up, and you give yourself space to edit to music later. So yeah, let's see. I'll do the same thing in the beginning here. Okay, and when I'm watching a clip back, I always put the playback speed in normal speed so I can see if there's any jumpiness in the speed or things that are weird. So yeah, speed-wise, that looks pretty great. I think that everything is good there. Obviously, we need to adjust some things to put them in frame a little bit more, but that is why I like, this is kind of my trick that I do. So that's why I like putting 1 second keyframes out first, because basically by putting, like if you see my camera is aligned kind of right in front of the skater there, and then a similar position there, so it's, and then similar position there, so it's automatically the replay editor is automatically filling in those gaps speed-wise so that it is continuing in the perfect amount of speed. And I think where a lot of people mess up is, instead of having this keyframe here, after they drop this keyframe, they'll go ahead and try to drop this one. And if you're not really cognizant of where the speed needs to be, you could have your keyframe like way back here or up here, and it's going to make your speed jump all around, and that's why you get that super glitchy look in your camera's jumping back and forth. So by putting one layer down first, then when you come back to edit the middle, the in between, like we're going to do right here, you don't have to worry about your left to right as much with the left stick. I still will move that around a little bit, but I try to keep that as minimal as possible. And I really just try to adjust the right stick because then it keeps everything really smooth. So this one is to put my skater in the middle of the frame, or close to the middle, it kind of moves it a little bit further away than I'd like. So this one I am going to use the Y and L framing, and I'm going to, actually no, sorry, not the Y and L. I'm just going to move this a little bit closer to the skater, trying to keep it as minimal as possible. But I'm going to do that right there, and boom. And then also, like I said, I'm gonna adjust the roll here. So this probably has a little bit of jumpiness because I haven't fully done yeah, it's a little bit jumpy there, but as you can see, when you, once I add in all the rest of these half-second mark keyframes, it will smooth the whole thing out. I'm not really sure why it works that way, but it really does. Like, if I were to just do one half-second keyframe and then leave everything else as 1 second, it doesn't come out near as smooth as if I just add half seconds to the whole clip. So I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to put in my roll effect in the beginning here. So that way it just kind of, I'll show you. So I'm going to add about a -10 roll there. And so instead of me having to go, come back and go, 0, 5, like once I add the keyframe here, it already has the roll kind of built in because it's continuing on with what I set for the 1 second mark. So I don't have to worry about adjusting roll at this half-second keyframe when I set it because it's already done. So that's why I like adjusting roll at all the 1 second keyframes before I go back and do my second layer of half-second keyframes. So I put one there. And now, even though I like where this is, I'm going to drop a keyframe just because it will help the overall smoothness of the clip in the end. So see, you saw how there was a little bit of jumpiness right there? So something about putting half-second keyframes is going to smooth that out perfectly. So there we go. That adds that. Boom, we're right there. So I just realized that I locked in on the other side of the rail, which I don't love that, but that's all right. This is not really something I'm going to post. This is more just for educational, so yeah. Okay, so add a keyframe there. And then I'm going to add a keyframe here. And I'm going to add one last keyframe here. Actually, no, excuse me. We're going to do the roll on this one, like I said. And then this should be around halfway, should be about 7.5, something like that of roll. Yeah, right there. So add a keyframe there, and as you can see, it already baked in the 7.5 of roll. So that way it just continuously moves through, and we are going to watch that back because it should be pretty well finished. Yeah, so I don't love how the camera reacts there at the end. It looks a little artificial. So I think this needs to move a little farther forward. Needs to have a little bit more movement in it. And again, most of this is going to get cut off at the end, so it's not going to matter as much. Whoa, that was weird. Yeah, so I kind of messed that up there at the end, but you see what I'm saying as far as the smoothness. It'll take me a minute to go back and re-edit those last three, and you really don't even need to see that. So, yeah, you kind of get the picture there as far as making this initial bit. You add 2 layers, 1 second layer, and then you add a second layer at the half-second mark. So yeah, I would probably be cutting the clip right around here anyway. So let's see. Yeah. So yep. Basically then I'm just going into my settings and I am gonna drop the playback speed to half so that way when I go back to edit this later, if I want to do slow-mo anywhere, it makes the frames per second much better for doing that, and then makes everything look smoother in slow-mo if I want to do some ramp slow-mo somewhere. But yeah, then I just come over here and I go to save and then export, and yeah, pretty much that's it right there. So hopefully this is helpful at all. If it is, let me know. If you have any questions, yeah, just shoot me a DM or text me or something like that. And yeah, peace.